Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is an action film from the USA, English language, released in the year 2019, directed by Drew Pearce, and this film is called Hotel Artemis. So Hotel Artemis is set in the future. You've got this hotel that is run by this woman, but it's a very different style of hotel because it caters for criminals. So obviously when criminals get hurt, they can't go to hospital, unlike everyday people, and so this woman sees an opportunity to make a living through providing a service for these criminals. So when they're hurt, they go into the hotel and they can get cared for. So it's set in the future, and at this particular time there are riots that are plaguing the USA and destroying everything, and so business is booming. And so this woman, she has a few rules. Once you're inside the hotel, you can't have any guns, you can't kill each other, and so if they follow these rules, they can keep their membership. But unfortunately, on this particular day, some criminals come into the hotel and they have some motives as to why they're in there, and this is going to threaten to destroy the policy that Hotel Artemis bases itself upon. So whether or not it does is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Hotel Artemis. I don't really go for action movies, especially Hollywood sort of action movies, but when I saw this on the shelf, very cheap, I thought, well, I'm in the mood to see an action kind of movie, because every now and then I'll watch an action film, let my hair down, and just don't take it as seriously as I take other films. But I just thought to myself, Hotel Artemis, there's something about it that I really wanted to watch. And I'm a massive fan of Jodie Foster, who plays the main character, who owns this hotel. You've got cameos from Jeff Goldblum, you've got David Bautista, and so it is a film that has, and Sophia Boutella, so it's a film that does have very recognisable stars, and that's obviously a draw card, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to watch this movie. But I didn't really intend on loving the film, but I thought to myself, well, maybe this is going to be a Sunday afternoon movie that you can just watch. It's not going to be anything brilliant, but at least it will be worth your time, the 80-minute runtime that it goes for. And I will say that the movie is exactly that. This is a forgettable, disposable action movie, but it does the things that it does fairly well. I mean, it is a serviceable movie. It's a movie that wasn't a complete waste of time, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but unfortunately the whole film for me felt like a cameo. Now, I'll go into that a little bit later, but the film, I didn't feel as though it really utilised the ability that it had, and I think that the runtime of the film, the 80-minute runtime, really plays against it in actually enabling itself to expand in a way where I felt as though the avenues were exhausted to a point where they were taking advantage of. So I'll go through that a little bit later, but what I liked about Hotel Artemis, it is very fast-paced and never gets boring, and there are action set pieces. It's everything you want from an action film. So if you like movies that don't require you to think all that often, and you want to see action set pieces, blood and violence and all that kind of thing, then Hotel Artemis is going to cater for you. And so I can't really criticise it too much for not being a soul-searching movie, because it never pretends to be a soul-searching film, but it does have a little bit of added value to the main character of Jodie Foster, and she's there for a particular reason I'm not going to go into, but I thought, alright, well, at least there's some effort to give a little bit of depth to this particular character, but the other characters, as I said, they're just cannon fodder. I felt as though they were there just to utilise the action sort of set pieces that the movie really wants to bank itself on. And so I thought the cinematography was good. I really like the idea of the future, these riots. I like the idea of the hotel catering for criminals. And so I thought the acting was decent. There are a few cameos. You've got Jeff Goldblum, who plays a cameo as this crime boss. You've got a whole host of other actors that you will recognise, and they're there for, they're not there for a massive amount of time, but it's always good to see that familiar faces and supporting movies that you probably wouldn't expect them to be in. And so I thought that was decent. Thought the choreography of the action set pieces was fairly good, and there were some nasty moments of violence, which is exactly what you want from a movie like this. But unfortunately, as I said, the 80-minute runtime prevents it from being anything but a cameo movie. Now, what I mean by a cameo movie is that when you've got cameo actors, for example, Jeff Goldblum in this movie, he makes a cameo appearance, and you say to yourself, well, it's cool to see an actor like him in it, but he's out of it before you know it. You think to yourself, all right, well, that was cool, but it was nothing great. And you can't help but feel as though if you're a fan of these actors, you want to see a little bit more of them. And that's exactly what I got from Hotel Artemis as an overall feature movie, is that I wanted to see more of it. I felt as though, all right, well, this is a cool movie, but that was it. And so I thought, well, a little bit more attention, and if it realised and had the confidence that it could have been an absolutely fantastic movie, it was a 2-hour experience, then it would have been a lot better, is because I thought there were moments that weren't satisfied. And so it is a very superficial kind of movie, but I thought there were glimpses of a film that is a lot more in depth than I think it didn't really know how to be that in-depth film that it really wanted to be. And so it's a clear example of Jodie Foster's character. When you watch the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's an insight into this character that I thought was a little bit out of place, because no other characters really go into that depth. And so I thought, all right, well, Jodie Foster's character, maybe this could have been a more serious film that's delving into her life a little bit more, and it would have felt as though this is a character that didn't belong in another movie. Is that the whole film is fast-paced action, bang, bang, shoot 'em up. But then you got Jodie Foster's character that has a little bit of emotion to it, but because no one else does, I felt as though her character was deserving of a better film. And so Hotel Artemis, it does have that cameo feel to it, and it also has a level of predictability that you've seen in plenty of other action films. You know exactly how this is going to finish, and so it's definitely a situational kind of movie, is that how it depicts its violence, how it stages the choreography of the action set pieces, and it all does a fine job. It's a very capable film, but unfortunately I thought as though it could have been a better movie had it realised the potential, or maybe not realised, but had the confidence to really branch out and make this a movie with a little bit more emotion. Then I thought it could have been a better movie than it was. But pushing that aside, you could do a lot worse. I thought Hotel Artemis is a fine way to spend a Sunday afternoon if you're bored. Don't expect too much, and you'll come away from it glad that you watched it. So overall, I'm going to give this movie 3 stars. It's not terrible, but then again, it's nothing great. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you there.